Yay!
Hey! Yay, welcome everybody. Look at this group. Wow, Jenny, Leela, Sapiwe. Welcome everybody.
Yay! Party time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. You're awesome.
Yeah, so there's a resonance here with the three of y'all in the silence is always felt in your sharings.
hmm Yeah, and the unconditional love and just the radiance. Yeah, your words are shimmering. Beautiful.
You have a YouTube channel, Sipiwe?
Oh yes, I do. Yeah, I do. I do have a YouTube channel. Uh, Leela, I actually enjoy listening to your voice. Um,
Oh, thank you. I gotta check out your YouTube channel.
Yay, he's got a podcast too.
Yeah, it's really good. I,
Yeah.
I have a feeling I know what's coming. Yay.
Yay.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah. So what is it about the silence that's so powerful?
It
Then,
feels it feels like purity to me, like a blank slate, like virginity.
yay.
Go ahead, Jenny.
Yeah. Beyond words appearing, that can appear as words, the absolute, beyond story, beyond concepts appearing as that.
Yeah, for the dreamed individual, the stories are held tightly as they seem real.
hmm
And as that loosens, the stories aren't seen as so important anymore.
Well, in the silence, it's too obvious that you don't exist as an individual and that there are no stories. It's too obvious. So the playfulness and the innocence of the imagination distracting itself with thought identification just distracts from the absence, that you are, the silence that you are. And it's so playful and adorable.
you kind of feel like silence makes everything possible. That words wouldn't be what they are if there was no silence.
Mm,
Sound wouldn't be what it is if there wasn't a silence. So silence makes everything what it is. It's the beingness of the sound.
hmm
Mm.
Yeah, pure beingness prior to word, prior to which doesn't imply time. It's just pointing to the absolute that you are that's appearing relative, which is just an appearance. That you are the unmoving, the unchanging, the without qualities. That's
It's beautiful.
Like the space between the notes makes the music.
hmm Yeah, the screen or the substratum from which everything's appearing,
Yeah,
which one with it. Yeah.
I was going to say, Jen, it's just so funny when you're watching a movie in a theater that you completely forget about the screen.
Yeah. And how the projector, which is like the analogy of pure awareness, is illuminating the images on the screen and it's not separate from the images. If you look up at the projector, you can see the lit up images in the light, and it's beaming onto the screen. and it reflects off of the object of attention to see itself, to reflect. And it's one with it. It's all one. I love all of the analogies and how obvious that everything's the clue to wake up from the dream. It's all God appearing as everything, waking itself from the dream. So it's even in movies, in lines or stories in movies, and the analogy of the movie theater, the projector and the screen, and then the dream at night, the deep sleep. But also when it becomes obvious that everything's the clue, you even see it, on sign on billboards on the highway. Like it's just everywhere. And then like you're appearing as every character, including the trickster ones that make things so fucking ridiculous that you question, is this real? This can't be real, you know? It's so cool.
Yeah, it feels kind of like a dream character waking up within the dream. And when it tries to tell the other dream characters that's a dream, they want to kill them.
Yeah.
It wrecks it. Don't say that.
Yeah, because it can seem so real and serious. Just like at the movie theater, forgetting that it's a movie and sitting on the edge of your seat in suspense and like freaking out emotionally at what's happening on the screen. But yeah, that silence, it's just too obvious that none of this is real or really happening, and that you are the absolute from which everything's appearing, which is why so many people said, shut up and meditate. Shut up and meditate. You'll fucking see. It's too obvious, you know? But like when there's resistance, what you resist persists and it keeps coming up. So the thoughts will keep being persistent to distract, innocently distract from silence, which is just playful, it's like the playful game of hide and seek. And the silence, where is the problem? Where's the world? Where's my story? It doesn't exist. It's not a.
Yeah, and I love when you said on your Zoom, where's the past? I don't see it.
Yeah, it's too literal. It's too obvious or too that it can be easily overlooked.
It's so innocent how it's like we can't discern from concepts and direct senses.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like a noticing the difference.
Yeah. Which is through like a referential negation. It's like a what it isn't, because you can only know what it isn't, or
Well, that's why everything's a clue, because everything's temporary. So you start to notice that everything I attach to is finite. It's not permanent. It's not going to last. So
mm-hmm.
everything I seek seems to slip through my fingers.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that viragya, that disenchantment or the dispassion that happens when you start figuring out, wow, all of this is fleeting and temporary. And I mean, even opening and closing the eyes. When you close your eyes, it doesn't appear to exist. When you open it, you render it. It's all temporary, And every night you die. Everyone's scared of death, but then you die every night and everything disappears. And then waking back up into the imagination. Yeah, so that the seeing that it's all temporary is when there's an opening where it's like, okay, well, then what's permanent? And that's just, it's like a radio station. And then you resonate on that frequency of figuring out that you're the absolute that's eternal, that can never die. It's so cool.
Even in moments of flow, we die in those moments, or when we get lost in a movie or
Mm-hmm.
something like that, we just forget, like, oh, I need to maintain being this person.
Yeah. Yeah, even during the day, the body disappears throughout the day, but it goes unnoticed because the imagination just assumes that it's always there. But it's just, yeah, appearing and disappearing. Everything is.
Well, it's so direct, right? Like Jenny, I love when you'll say, because I use this too, look to your right. And you look to your right and the left is gone. And now if I
Mhm.
look to the left, what I was seeing to the right, that's not there.
Yeah. Yeah. And it didn't even happen, because it's immediate. I love it. It's so magical. Like when I go to the park and my house doesn't exist, but then when I walk up the road, it just magically appears. And then how everything is the way that I left it, like all the art and everything on the wall just rendered. I mean, it's total intelligence. It's beautiful how all of this appears to happen.
Yeah, it's so amazing. It's amazing that the silence, it's actually the absence, and everything is just the absence of it.
Mm-hmm.
There is everything is dissolving to silence, as Jeff was saying that. So everything is just temporary. So what is permanent is the absence.
Mm-hmm.
So everything is just disappearing, appearing and disappearing. What remains is absence.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. It is the infinite in disguise as color, shape, form, mental projections. It's empty potential. It can be anything. Like wet clay, it can be formed into any shape.
You ever seen those like art spinners when you were a kid? You put a blank piece of like white cardboard and then you pour colors and it spins and
Hmm.
colors just splatter randomly. Like there's like no way to control it. And it's such a perfect analogy because there's this constant sense of being a separate me trying to control. Like that's all it does full time is like,
Hmm.
what can I push away? What can I like pull toward me? And then suddenly one day it can all just,
Yeah. When the shit hits the fan, it's like, that's funny.
well, that's like Leela and I have talked about this running out of tries, running out of fucks.
Hmm. Yeah. An involuntary fuck it. I give up. I give up. And then it's just seen it's always been this, and you're laughing. And you're like, that's hilarious. The trying was resisting. The intention, the fucking practice, the somewhere to get, the resisting what was appearing to happen was what I was longing for. All of it is.
So ironic.
Hmm. And it's all inclusive. It's like it includes everything. And like, I love how Leela, you said on one of our chats, you said, every word is the name of God. And it's it's so beautiful because it's everything. It's every expression. And there is no wrong or right because it's singular. It can't be wrong or right. And so it's every wave. of expressing. There is no way because it's every way. There is no path because it's every path. It's literally everything. It is the seeking, it is the longing, it is the you know, the appearance of a limited me. It is that.
Escaped.
Mm-hmm.
I thought maybe Jen, you could say a few words, or anybody, about what you resist persists, why it's really what you're longing for. What you're resisting is what you're really longing for.
Yeah, what you resist persists because you are everything. And resistance implies that it's separate. And so it persists because it's all coming home, so to speak, or it's like, wake up. You're everything. This is one. This is not even real, and you're not separate. So that resistance is so beautiful too, because it's also the alarm clock. You know, it's like in the nightmare at night where there's just so much resistance and fear and contraction happening that it wakes you up from the dream. So it's also the catalyst to awakening. But, and then it's seeing that, oh my gosh, it's literally everything. So what I was resisting was what I was longing for. Whatever's immediately happening, immediately is the infinite. As you, as the infinite, disguised as what's appearing to happen. So everything is what you're longing for. You want all of this, whatever's happening, even if it appears to suck ass. You want that shit. Good job, babe. I'm gonna come see it in a minute. Okay, I'm gonna call. A masterpiece was just happening.
God, I can't even imagine having you as my mother.
Oh yeah,
Be like the
you too,
best.
Leela.
Oh.
Yeah, you two would be like the best moms ever.
Oh, thank you. It is so fun.
Like here, there was never anybody to really talk to about this. So that's why there's such a love and joy and appreciation to all of you to be able to talk and freely and share about something that has always been here, but could never be articulated or even shared with others.
Mm-hmm. Me too. There was a period where there was no one to talk to about this. I was just like, and every time I did, it triggered the person, and then all of a sudden, we get to talk about it all day. It's beautiful.
Isn't that funny? Like
Yeah,
first you can't talk about it anywhere, and then that's all you're talking about.
yeah. And then all your, beautiful, you appearing as beautiful friends pop up, and that, on the same radio station, we can just geek out on it all the time.
So, Safiwe, were you like this as a child?
Come again, Michael?
Were you like this as a child? Did you always sense something was a little off about life, even as a child?
What I can recall is that, yeah, things have always been off. Um, but I went through the whole journey of spirituality, trying to manifest, trying to meditate, doing all of those things, until 20% happened. You know, when you are going through videos after videos of spirituality and something suddenly some video pops up and then you say, hang on, this is different, but there's so much resonance. And before I knew it, um, I was I was in so much of these videos and so much resonance. And I don't even remember when these fell off because once this hits you, it's like you can't even point towards the journey to say this is that journey that this came about. You can't even point out to say these were steps that I followed in order to get here. It's like I've always been here, but when I look back, I see that um, there was always that things they were always off in a sense that you can't predict anything, and you kind of see now that all these patterns, all these teachings that were based on patterns, that were based on predictions, where people predicted that if you, for instance, with spirituality, if you put your thoughts in somewhere and you put your intentions and feelings and all of that, then you might attain something. And if you do not get a result, then you go back to your formula. Maybe you didn't put enough intentions. Maybe you didn't do something right. Maybe you didn't fast enough. Maybe you didn't pray enough, you know.
Mhm.
So there's always something off, but there is always a justification on these things. So yeah, so that's in a nutshell how it's always been, and um, that's the only way I can point towards this. And then Genie videos came about, Leela and everyone on YouTube, you know. So now it's just a party. So whenever I want to listen to this, I just pop up in YouTube, and you guys come up a lot. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's so wonderful. And now what has been coming up a lot is just looking into the nature of this thing that we call humans, and you know, just looking at it without judging, looking at the things like desires and all of those things, and even resistance, and you kind of see that this is just natural. This is how human nature would be. It resists sometimes, sometimes it desires things, and in a way, it's kind of feel like there is this superiority complex that it comes with, where everything else is inferior. For instance, the animals are inferior. So even the way we deal with desires, it's like desires are below. It's just something to attain. Um, what if there were no levels? What if all these are just the same level? Meaning the humans' desires, resistance might pop up just as human pops up. Like Gino was saying right now, that things just disappear. Even the sense of self disappears sometimes. It appears and disappears, just as the desires. So there's no need to judge whether this desire is good or bad, whether to try to stop it or not. Yeah, but it's been so wonderful, uh, and it's always like been this way. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Beautiful. Yeah. I remember recognizing that, like, oh my God, it's always been this way. What was covering it up? What the hell? You know? It's too obvious. It's too intimate. It's like too up close. You can't see it because you are it. You know, like you like looking for it somewhere else appears to hide it. That's so great.
Thank you for sharing the POA. That was beautiful and
Yeah.
very familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, Sipiwe, you know Nkosi, yeah? Nkosi.
Oh, yeah,
S-
that's true.
So it was about 4 years ago that he came around. He actually first made a comment on a post of mine, and he said very simply in this maybe one, maybe two sentences, he said, whether there's a me or not a me, this doesn't mind.
Beautiful.
And it kind of stopped me in my little tracks because I could feel that, well, if this, the totality doesn't care, then what, what the fuck am I doing? You're like, why is it such a big deal in non-duality, whether there's a me there or not? Like somehow there was a freedom in realizing it didn't matter because it's just another appearance. It comes and goes freely.
Hmm.
And then the other thing Nkosi said once he came to the Zoom, when he mentioned the word already,
Yeah.
you are it, you are what you seek already. That was a full stop right there.
That's like case closed, you know?
That's how it hit me. If it's already, then what to do? If you're looking for $100, but there's $100 in your pocket, what to do? Just notice the $100, you already got it. So you are it.
Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, what's being looked for is the one looking.
That's the cosmic joke.
Mhm. Yeah, I remember when I realized the me is it. The me is it. Then it was game over. It was like, well, then what's there to resist? Nothing. It's free. Everything's free to be as it is. It's everything. It includes everything. All inclusive.
What
Yeah,
seemed
I
to,
remember on YouTube, listening to, there's a lady called Julia. So Julia says, just this that sentence. She says, this is what you hate the most, and this is what you love the most.
Hmm.
And I was blown away.
Yeah. I love it. I love studying just for fun, studying the imagination and how it works because it's like finding all the clues to the riddle and like solving it or something or like see or looking at the rules of the game is just so amazing. And I've been geeking out on resistance. I wrote something that I wanted to read. I wrote something earlier. Just another perspective of resistance. There's an initial resistance to identifying with the finite things, which causes discomfort and triggers the search for home. So it's like that initial resistance that happens. It's like it's so easy for this pure beingness to um, identify with the object of attention, that it's illuminating and permeating and appearing as, but appearing to limit, its infinite self by identifying with the finite, thoughts or the body, like forgetting and thinking that you're the avatar and that, you were born and you're going to die. So then there's that initial resistance, like the nightmare at night, where it's uncomfortable. So it wakes you up from the dream. And the resistance is refusal to accept what is in favor for other. So it begins the search. It's the alarm system to wake you up from the dream. The end of the search reveals that you are what you're looking for, and everything appearing is you as the infinite in disguise. So the initial resistance was a rejection of identifying with the limited temporary objects of attention that were projected in the imagination, which was just alerting error. So then the search begins for what you are as the limitless, the permanent. But how else would you wake up from the nightmare at night without that intense resistance? Resistance is the catalyst to waking up. It's so cool. So it's like it's the catalyst. It appears to, it starts the seeking, and then it's just so it's all just such a gift. I love it. It's amazing. Because that's when it's like something's off here. When you're identifying with the avatar and the thoughts, and then thinking this world is real and all these finite, limited appearances that are just all imagined. They appear and disappear. So it's like that alert that there's an error. Like, wait a minute, this, you're the infinite. Wake up.
It's beautiful, Jenny.
Yeah.
When you see through the thought that says, I'm going somewhere better. I'm going to become something better. You just see through that, and you just see it's like an appearance and it's already gone. And that's really all it was. It's game over, you know.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, there's innocently that thought that comes up. This can't be it. It's got to be ecstasy. It's got to be some explosion, some spiritual, profound experience that, blasts me through a portal in another dimension. It's got to be something epic that I can know that I'm free, which is free to appear as that. A freedom appearing as that thought. This can't be it. It just makes everything so adorable and cute, and playful.
Yeah, here what's noticed is often the seekers that come to my meeting are so interested, innocently, of course, but innocently interested in their next question. So no matter what is shared, that you're already it, somehow that's not heard because I need to get to my next question. And that's sort of how it perpetuates the hamster wheel rather than like full stop. Because, sometimes we talk about, right, Jenny or Leela, it's you don't need much. If you just stay, where does anything come from? Where are these words coming from? And you just stay with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Empty potential. Silence. And
Just,
even if oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say, just noticing how the thoughts just come out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have premeditated thoughts about the thought we're about to think.
Yeah. It's too literal and obvious. Yeah. That it all comes from emptiness, from nothing appearing and disappearing.
Doesn't give us any control, so we don't want to see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the end of volition. That's the end of thinking there was someone there controlling or dictating. It just becomes too obvious. And then you start seeing the body on autopilot. It's like a biological robot. It's just doing its thing and no one's controlling it. There's no puppeteer.
Yeah, that's good to go into because in order for me to say that I'm controlling something in this moment, I have to believe that I'm separate from the moment.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, there'd have to be two for there to be control. And it's singular, so. And just like the analogy of the dream at night is just spontaneously happening. I mean, no one planned the dream at night. It was like starting a movie that you've never watched in the middle, you know?
And somehow yet it works. You can
Yeah.
all of a sudden in your dream, you're in the Grand Canyon, you
Hmm.
know, you're hiking and it's a rainstorm. Where did that come from? But yet, okay, that's what's going on. What are we gonna do? Oh,
Yeah. And yeah, you can't get outside of what is to be separate from it. And the other part about the dream is if you break it down, if you analyze it, who was in the dream? It was just the seeing.
hmm.
And what is the seen without the seeing? It doesn't appear to exist. What is the observer? What is the observer without the observer? It is the observer. It's all one. Just like the projector at the movie theater that's not separate from the images that it's lighting up on the screen. All being imagined.
Yeah, I was thinking about what you were talking about our cheap VR headsets that has to dumb everything down. Because if you think about it, to get the infinite to be I don't know, like a plastic bottle,
Hmm.
you have to dumb it down. You have to take the infinite, all that. I mean, you can't even fathom that kind of power. And it has to be limited to, voila, a plastic bottle. So innocent.
Yeah. And yeah, to have a unique experience, you would have forgotten that you were the infinite that was wearing the VR headset.
Right, but I'm saying it's not even, it has to be this way because
Yeah.
the sun is so powerful, you couldn't do anything with the sun. It would just melt everything on site. So by dumbing it down, in other words, you know, like you can deal with a Bic lighter. I can work with this fire when it's,
Hmm.
but the full Monty,
Hmm.
it would just it would burn up it would burn up too fast. It would just be gone before.
Hmm.
So it has to dumb itself down so it can even recognize itself.
Yeah.
Games aren't fun without challenges and limitations.
Hmm. Someone mentioned on my last Zoom, heaven is would be boring. It's beautiful because the Gnostic gospel implied that the senses are heaven, which I see that as this is heaven, and it's sensual. It's a sensual experience. It's you as God that's infinite and formless, that can't be seen, can't be known. Having a sensual experience in the imagination. It's so cool, which is all mental. Yeah, I love that about the analogy of the headset too, because everything it hides the truth so cleverly, like it's just so clever and brilliant. But then when it's seen, when the mirror turns around on itself and the relative sees itself as the absolute, everything you see is God, you know? And then you're like, holy shit, this wall is the infinite disguised as a wall. Like everything I see is me as God appearing as whatever it's appearing to happen. And then it's not limited. It's just it can be anything. It's and it can't be known. It's just Empty potential.
Yeah, maybe we can talk a little bit about that it can't be known, because as seeker, I can't, I have to ignore that. In order to seek,
Mm-hmm.
I have to ignore that it can't be known. Something in me has to believe something can be known.
Our whole world revolves around knowledge and understanding. We're deeply conditioned to basically idolize it as the answer to everything.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. We almost forget, oh, I'm not breathing. I'm not breathing this breath. I'm not beating this heart. You
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all involuntary. Everything is all intuitive.
Yeah, maybe we can talk about this, Jen. Jen and I were talking about intuition
Mm-hmm.
and how my experience is it's perfect. It's never wrong. It's very strange. So what can be said about intuition? I love Jenny. She just two words. I said, Jenny, this intuition, it just seems to know. And she's like, yeah, it knows.
Yeah, because you are the infinite intelligence, and it's
Mm.
just all appearing to function just involuntarily, like total perfection. I mean, it's how the body navigates all every day. And for me, I picked up on it years ago when I started becoming kind of psychic or intuitive, and people were hiring me to counsel them, as a psychic or something. And I tapped in. I prior to that had tapped into my intuition, where I noticed that um, when I would think of an idea or like a something that a decision, that was going to happen, which just, appears spontaneously from emptiness. There was a contraction for the no, and then there was an expansion for the yes. So it was like my own little magic 8 ball that I had, that it just told me everything. So like I would ask it, I would close my eyes, I'd feel into the sensation of the idea. And if it was squeezing, it was a no. If it was expansive, yes. And it was so right every fucking time. Every time. There were times I even tested it out where I would end up doing what the contraction said not to do. And it would be all fucked up. It'd be like some crazy nightmare situation, including like this narcissist that I dated. Like the contraction was like hell no on the first date, and then I did it anyway. It's so beautiful how it just like keeps you out of trouble, but it's so intelligent, yeah. And I like how you were describing your lights, your green light.
Yeah.
My
Yeah. For me, several years ago, like a long time ago, I started just using what I call the stoplight. So I would, like you, Jenny, I would feel into it, whatever decision, whatever
Mhm.
somebody wanted me to do something or not, I would feel into it. I would just get quiet. And it would just come naturally from feeling into it. It would either be a red light, which just meant no way, Jose. I just
Mhm.
immediately forgotten. Like, no, it's a clear no. Green obviously was go for it. When all cylinders are go. It was a full resonance. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
it's stuff that I liked. It was joyous. That was sort of the tip off. And then yellow just simply meant not enough information. Do nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, sleep on it. Yeah, it's so amazing. Yeah,
That's why
when
it
you
doesn't feel good when we're seeking, because the belief in, the identification with this idea, the assumption of um, agency, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, it's the intuition. So that's when I downloaded. I was like, holy shit, this contraction feeling of identifying as me is just the intuition waking me up from the dream saying, no, no. It's the magic 8 ball. And so I was like, holy shit, that is so brilliant. All of this is intuitive and it's all clues to wake up from the dream. It's like it makes it so easy. Yeah, so it alerts that there's an error. It's like, no, and it's like the alarm system's going off every time. And so then you'll notice that whenever there's a thought that's dividing or separating, that alarm system goes off. And I just made a video yesterday about the misinterpretation or misunderstanding of fear because a lot of people are scared of fear and they think it's like separation or whatever. But fear is that alarm system. Fear is your friend. It alerts something's off. So you can notice if there's a separated thought or divided thought, that's when the fear pops up and it's just alarming the system. No, this isn't separate. No, that it's not real. Wake up. It's perfect. It's perfect. Otherwise, you wouldn't wake up from the dream. It's so cool.
Like an energetic language.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Yeah, it's learning to listen to that, like getting in tune with that silent inner, that knowing, that intuitive
Mm-hmm.
seems to work best in silence.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's a different energy. It's a whole, because with the mind, right, it's very logical. So it's just basically all the mind can do is weigh out what it thinks are the pros and cons, right? That's really all it can do is make a list. Well, here's why I should. The intuitive is a whole different animal.
Mm-hmm. It knows.
Yeah.
And it's fast. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's timeless.
yeah. So it intuits the waking up from the dream. It's just the navigation system, the GPS that guides. It's so brilliant. And so that contraction is not something to be scared of. It's not the me. It's the intuition saying, wake up. This isn't this isn't separate. This isn't real.
Yeah, so it's that feeling that whenever you're doing something, you always have that feeling something is off there. So at least now I think now everything gets to be acknowledged, even the intuition as well get to be acknowledged, even fears get to be acknowledged.
Wait, hold on.
Because
I
suddenly,
can't hear you very well. I think the audio changed.
can
Sorry.
you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
that's
better.
better.
Oh, okay. I was using earphones, but yeah. So with regards to intuition, I think it's that feeling that was always there. So whenever you were doing something, there was always that feeling something is off here. So at least now it's get to be acknowledged because everything get to be acknowledged.
Mm.
Intuition get to be acknowledged, the same as fear can be acknowledged, resistance can be acknowledged because now it's seen for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Infinity doesn't discriminate.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
there's no in what is better, what is bad, what is not good, and
Mm-hmm.
all of that. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, there's no separation.
Yeah, the Michael here is geeking out because that's a post.
Yeah.
The infinity doesn't discriminate.
Totally. Thank you.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah.
You can see it's just energy. There's nothing inherently wrong with even the feeling that something's off. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it arises already, just as free as anything else.
Mm-hmm. And it's just like the compass that can't point to itself. It's pointing to um that you're the absolute appearing as everything. So it's just like the wake up call. Because everyone already knows this, that they're the infinite. So that's why when there's identification with finite only that appears to limit yourself as the limitless, that's when the navigation system is alerted, alerting.
Yeah, and it makes sense in a way, right? Because if we use the ocean, imagine the ocean, and then there's a bucket of water. In the bucket of water, if the ocean believed it was only the bucket of water, that wouldn't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there can be compassion now, finally, just the simple fact of not being identified with what arises.
Mm-hmm.
It's innocent, you know.
It is so innocent, yeah. And it's singular, so it can appear to contradict itself. Which is so beautiful. It's so beautiful and perfect. Just like some of these non-duality groups, like like the story of Sri Ramana, where he said he was warning people that non-duality would become another religion. It would become dogmatic and separated, and it's just beautiful to see that. Like there's all these, just like the Christian religion broke up into all these sects, like Episcopalian, Lutheran, Presbyterian, Baptist, whatever. And then they were all against each other saying mine goes to heaven and yours doesn't. So the same thing's happening with these non-duality groups where they claim at first it's all inclusive and it's unconditional. And then they contradict themselves and say, no, there's a condition. You can't say God, you can't say awareness, you can't say this and that, which is just a beautiful duality. So it's an oxymoron. It's beautiful because it's singular. So everything you say, you're eating your own tongue because you are it. So when you're talking shit about another speaker speaking a certain way, you're talking shit about yourself. And it's all free. It's literally unconditional. So it's every goddamn word. You can say it's simply just this or just simply this is the same as saying this is God masturbating. It's the same thing. You can say anything. It's beautiful.
Saying this is it is the same as saying this is not it.
Yeah. Yes.
I think it's funny when I hear a speaker say, well, there's no one here, but there's obviously someone there, to the person they're talking to. It's so confusing,
Yeah, it is.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
because the mind, it takes things literally and it tries to find where it is on a map. So it'll take a statement like that and be like, oh, I have so much to do. I have to, meditate more, go to retreats and work on things, which is all fine, but it sort of is that hamster wheel of being,
Yeah.
I'm still a person, you know.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's like everything is an illusion except me.
Yeah.
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 It can be confusing because we're talking about an energetic resonance of identification with a self, but when we talk about it, it sounds like it's something real, like a real being or a real entity. And it's hard to talk about it without making it sound like a thing.
Yeah, objectifying it.
Yeah, I try and use music as an example of resonance, like your favorite song. You just resonate with your favorite song. You
Mm-hmm.
just, in the moment, you don't need a story to say why it's music that you love, and you just do. And it's the same with this. This isn't arrived at logically or concluded. It's full on 100% a resonance that all is this.
Mm-hmm.
In the same way, we can appreciate the expressions because it always comes off authentic from each and every individual, and everyone tells it the way they can and in their own way. It's always beautiful when you listen to Michael, you listen to Ginny, you listen to Leela because it's always expressed in their own way, and
Mm.
it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's what makes it so unique and beautiful and amazing. Because if it was all the same, you wouldn't experience it. It's these apparent, unique qualities like being expressed by the one, and it's just amazing. And it's all saying the same thing, just appearing in unique ways. And no better or worse or right or wrong or higher or lower. It's all equal, all the same.
Yeah, in a way, it points itself out because if everything is limited, and that is our experience, everything we touch, smell, taste through the five senses is limited, and it can suddenly begin to dawn. Well, if everything I experience is limited, then what would know that would have to be unlimited to know the
Yeah,
difference.
totally. If this is formless, if this is form, it'd have to be formless. If this is everything, it'd have to be nothing. Yeah. If this is temporary, would have to be permanent.
It cancels itself out, like you said, Jenny.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you guys don't eye gaze with me. That would be awkward. That's awesome. Have you ever been embarrassed for somebody? You know, somebody
Hmm.
does something and it makes you embarrassed, even though
Yeah.
all you did was see it. I always felt like that when I would see people eye gaze with each other
Oh, that's cute.
in videos. It's just a preference, but
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, that makes me laugh.
Would anybody like to share any one last thing before we close out?
There's no such thing as inauthenticity.
Mhm.
Beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, and I would say you already are what you seek, even if you don't believe it.
Hmm.
Such a gift.
Hmm.
And it's always been that way.
Hmm. Beautiful. There is no goal because everything's the goal.
Yay! Thank
It's
you,
already
every.
done. Case
You
closed.
guys are so beautiful. Jenny, Leela,
Oh,
Sifiwe, what a glorious morning. Starting
I
off
know.
with you three. Mwah.
Mwah. Love you guys. Thank you
Love,
so much.
love you guys. Have a great day.
Bye.